Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Let me turn up my mic a little bit. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This is
Yeah,
exciting.
there's a lot to talk about.
I know. I know you've done this like 5 times already, so so thank you.
Yeah. Anytime. That's what I'm here for.
Awesome.
And as the deadline gets closer, I know artists have more questions.
hmm
It should be a good conversation.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for me before we get started?
I don't think so. Will you ask me questions and then I'll
Yeah.
kind of like talk as we go through them? And then do you want me to like share screen and really dive into things or kind of give more of an overview or talk like kind of one-to-one with artists? Because I can do either or both.
Yeah, let's do more of kind of an overview. I think that would be good. We can always link to any other conversations that you've had with more in-depth information.
Perfect.
Um, yeah, and then if anybody comments during this on the chat or anything, or in the comments on Facebook, then we can address those questions.
Perfect.
Um, Typically, we don't get a lot of engagement during the the live thing, but we usually get a lot of people watching it afterwards. So
That totally works. My email works either way. If they're emailing me during or afterwards, I'll try to
perfect,
get back with everybody.
awesome. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take us live if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll get started. So give me just a second. All right. Let me double check that we're live.
I got a notification right on my phone. Looks like
Awesome.
it.
Perfect. Okay, we'll get started then. All right, so thank you everybody for tuning in. This is actually our last creative conversation for this series for the summer. And I'm the administrative assistant with the Art Council of Johnson County. My name is Allison Bowman, and I'm here with Holly Hayden, and she is the consulting artist on the public art program for the Build KCI project. And we're going to be talking about their latest call for art, wall art at the new terminal build. So that's super exciting. And we're going to be talking about all things art related for that, and then kind of what artists need to know when they're applying. So Holly, I just want to know real quick, what is your creative and or professional background?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Let me say that first of all. This is very exciting. Yeah, a little bit about me. Like you said, I'm the consulting artist for the new single terminal and parking project. So that's a little bit of an administrative role when it comes to public art also, but I'm also the executive director for Psych Style Industries. And that is a design company that specializes in large scale murals. So my background is I went to the Kansas City Art Institute. I graduated in '03. So I was there with a focus in illustration at the time, but from then on, as soon as I graduated, I've always been a designer. I've always worked in a field that has some sort of design aspect to it. And it's ranged everything from doing catalog design to packaging design to doing event design. So it was something I really got interested in from thinking about all of the things we use and buy and look at and love. Someone designed all of those things. So I really got into like, okay, the things that I am interested in, I want to know more about it. I want to design those things too. I want to meet the people that design those. So yeah, that's where I I got into that. And then also I'm on the executive team at AIGA KC. So that's a national organization, and we have a Kansas City chapter. So we put on things like Design Week and the Kansas City A Awards and things like that. So that's something I've been part of for many years.
Awesome. Very cool. Small world, Psych is actually, he's part of Artist Inc. and he was my group mentor when I went through Artist Inc. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that was
What
pretty
a
cool.
great program.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
So talking about the public art program for the new single terminal, what is the program as a whole? Can you tell us a little bit of background about it, how it came about, what it's funded by, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so this project is a little bit different than some of the other call for artists you might see just around town or nationally. This one is a specific program called a 1% for Art. And we're so lucky in Kansas City that we have this program. Some cities have a 0.5%, a 1%, or even a 2% for art. So what that means is city property or city projects, like the new single terminal is, a portion of that money, 1% of the vertical build portion, actually will go to artwork as an enhancement for that building, as something that will be integral and integrated into that build. So that's so cool that we have that in our city. So you've probably seen other calls for art throughout the year. There's all kinds of 1% that happen. The new Casey Pet Project had a 1%. Urban Youth Academy back in the day did. A lot of the new builds downtown, the hotels.
Mhm.
So you'll see those come about. The airport happens to be the largest 1% for art that's ever happened in the history of Kansas City public art. So
Wow.
total for our entire project, all of the art locations together is $5.65 million. And that's very cool that that money is set aside specifically for artwork
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
the building. So that's just a little bit of an overview of what kind of 1% for art means when we say that.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah, that's a huge amount of money. That's amazing. Very cool. Um, can you talk a little bit about how many calls you've had so far and what they are? And I know you guys have actually chosen some artists so far too. I don't
Mhm.
know if you can talk about that or not, but
Yeah, some I can, some are still to be revealed.
uh-huh.
Yeah, so prior to this most recent call for artists, which we'll get into here in a minute, we've had 8 other locations that we've actually put out, and we call them rollouts. So we had the first 4 in the first rollout, the next 4, and then we're in rollout 3 right now with this call for artists. So just kind of biting it off into chunks, only because total we've had over 1,700 applications
Wow.
that we've looked through. So this is a very competitive process. The first 8 locations were actually open to international artists. So we had artists from all over the world sending us applications. Um, and that was really cool to see. So it was very flattering that so many eyes are on our project. Very exciting. And some of the finalists that we've chosen. So the first 4 were large scale sculptural pieces. And so, yeah, I can reveal those first 4. We've posted them online already. So you can see that at, I'll say this website like 20 more times in this interview too. It's buildkci.com/art. And everything on there about our timeline, about the project, about what we've done so far is all located on there. We update it all the time. So at any time you want to go back and see more information, read more about the project, or just try and remember, what someone might have said to you or what you heard in one of these info sessions, it will be there.
Awesome.
But yeah, back to the first 4 artists, we have very exciting. We have Nick Cave doing a piece. We have Nasia Iglesias, she's out of Athens. We have Susani Park doing a piece, and we also have Willie Cole. So those are the first 4. The next 4 artists will actually be presented this Friday at the Kansas City, Missouri Municipal Art Commission meeting.
Oh,
So if artists don't know and you want to be kind of a little bit more in the know about city projects and 1% programming, every first Friday at 9 a.m., there's a municipal art commission meeting, and those are open to the public that you can watch. And they go through their monthly meeting of what 1% are out there, where different projects are. And then typically at the end, they have time for public comment should you have a question or a comment about those. So I urge artists to participate in that if they want to know more as well.
awesome. So the call that's being announced this Friday, is that still large scale installation, or was that a different call?
It is. The one that we'll reveal on Friday was actually the parking garage stairwell,
Got it.
which could have been lighting or sculptural. The roadways underpass from baggage claim, which could be lighting or sculptural. The connector, which is kind of the people mover area in between the two concourses, and that one will have a experiential component. And then also large scale ceramics. So those are the four new artists that we'll reveal on Friday.
Wow, that's exciting. Very cool. Um, so I had a question, I just lost it. um, oh, just curious, who who decides? Is there a committee? Is it the municipal committee that's deciding the artwork, or do you have a specific panel of professionals that are deciding who to choose?
Yeah, so we've kind of expanded a little bit on typical public artwork process. So there is a process in place with the 1% for art, and then there's also a public art selection process just kind of nationally that's pretty common.
Mm.
So with how many applicants that we have and the different areas of expertise that we wanted to kind of explore with the artists that were chosen, we actually have separate selection panels for each one of the locations. So
Okay.
those are made up of 7 people that vote. And on those committees are members of the Municipal Art Commission. They're also local arts professionals and then local community members as well that are in the arts community.
Okay.
So those selection panelists are very integral in, I can't thank them enough for all the time and energy of looking through all the applications, reading everyone's letter of interest, looking through so many portfolios. It's been a process, but it's been really fun and rewarding. So yeah, so we've had 8 separate panels so far for the 8 locations, and
Wow.
everybody had their work cut out for them
Oh yeah.
with all
Absolutely.
of those applications. So that kind of leads me into the next part of it. So with this current call for art, we're actually flipping it again. We want to try all of the things, I guess. So this one is geared more toward local artists. So we actually have a 21 county area that we're considering local. It's kind of the catchment area for the Kansas City airport is
Mm.
kind of where we came up with that, but also any artists that have ties to Kansas City. So maybe you are born and raised here, maybe you went to the Art Institute, but maybe you live in New York now, maybe you live in LA. That's completely okay. Just that would be something we would want you to explain in your letter of interest. But going back to the selection panel, for this panel, we're actually going to have national arts professionals judging our local applicants.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that will be really exciting to not only get national eyes on local portfolios, but also really just open those doors to other opportunities that are out there as well. And then also we don't want to fall into kind of the same local people judging the same local artists. You know, we really want to get those fresh eyes on things and really kind of get rid of maybe some implicit bias. We all know each other in Kansas City.
Mhm.
There's so much wonderful artwork here. We want more arts professionals to know that and see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool. Um, what is the what are the parameters besides having ties to Kansas City? What kind of art are you looking for this call?
Yeah, so this call, we're calling it the concourse art. So it's concourse A and B. So if you've ever been in an airport and there's the area where you're waiting to get on the plane, where in the gate area, kind of the gate lounge area where all the chairs are, there's walls typically behind where the chairs are. All of those walls, so there's 19 locations. We want artwork right there. That
Okay.
is such a wonderful place for travelers to really interact with something on like an eye level, compared to maybe a large scale piece that's hanging on the ceiling or a large piece that's in the parking garage that maybe not everyone walks past. These will be right there in the gate lounges for everyone to see right there. We really want Kansas City artists to be represented in these locations. So like I said, there's actually 19 walls and we'll be choosing 19 different artists. So we're not just selecting one.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's still going to be competitive. But when we say wall-based art, I guess I can kind of elaborate on that as well. We're not looking for a specific medium, but something that could hang on a wall. So it could be traditionally framed paintings, drawings, textiles if they're in a frame, if you do mosaic work, if you have slimline sculpture work that could go on a wall. We're also looking for audio or digital. So something that was maybe a video screen or something that could go on a wall is completely acceptable as well. So we're leaving it open, knowing that with the parameters, having the artist think about the longevity of their piece is really key in this location.
Right.
Knowing that works on paper, sometimes you're going to need like a UV plexiglass or need something as a covering. Knowing thousands and thousands of people will be looking at your piece and possibly touching it, maybe bumping into it. There's going to be airflow in that space, all kinds of things that, we couldn't possibly list all the maybes
Right.
that could happen. So that's kind of a little bit of what we're looking for when we say wall-based artwork.
Okay. And it's and you said any medium and any style. There's no parameters on like content or anything like that for the artwork.
No, we didn't give like a theme or anything. So yeah, a lot of people ask, does my artwork have to be airplane imagery or travel imagery? Not necessarily. If you do that as your art practice, that's totally fine also. But if your artwork maybe has more an abstract side to it, that's totally fine as well. Stay true to who you are as an artist and showcase your best work and your best idea. And a little bit about that too is this is an RFP, so request for proposals. So this is really show us your idea. What would you like to see if you were in an airport traveling? Again, no theme or motif, but keep in mind all ages, all types of people from all different countries with all kinds of backgrounds will be walking past your piece. So what does that mean for your content? Just something to think about. It's a little more broad than a gallery setting or a museum setting.
Right. Right. And is there obviously there is a deadline. What is the deadline for this call?
Yeah, applications are due June 18th, 2021. So we have a couple weeks.
Mhm.
And the applications are all submitted through callforentry.org. And most artists are familiar with that platform. It's pretty common with most public art and most call for artists, but that is a free, and you can create a profile for free. So anyone can do that. So that's a perfect place to just go ahead and upload things like your resume, your portfolio images. It's a great place to just store that stuff and it lives in a digital place in case you need it. And then you can easily apply to other calls for artists directly from Call for Entry.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, that's easy and accessible way. That's awesome. Um, so you were talking about RFP. What's the difference? I've heard RFQ, which is request for qualifications. What's the difference between an RFQ and an RFP?
Sure. So if anybody watched some of the info sessions from the first 8 locations that we had, we actually did an RFQ process first. So since those were they were the really high dollar ones, and we also knew we were going to get so many applications, what's an easy way to whittle it down without having all the artists come up with proposals and you have to kind of pour through all of them? So we did an RFQ first. And that's really when we go through artist portfolios to look at their past work that really showcases that this is something that they do professionally. They'll be able to hit the deadlines. There's a lot of sort of safety and security and engineering parts and pieces to artwork of that scale. So really going through the RFQ process helped us pick those artists that really are specialize in large scale public artwork. Then once we chose those semifinalists, we actually chose 5 for each location. We gave them 2 months to come up with their own proposal, and they actually presented those to the selection panel. So that was really cool hearing the artists get to describe what their vision was. And then we decided the finalists from those 5. So that process was quite lengthy, but it was needed with art pieces of that scale.
Right.
So the difference with what we're doing now, instead of an RFQ and then an RFP, since we're going local, we really want our local community to start thinking about those ideas that they have for art that they want to create for the airport. Everyone's so excited and they have such great ideas. Let's go ahead and see those. Let's just propose those to us, give us those renderings, give us those sketches. That will be something that will really help us see your vision and know how to pick our 19 artists. So that's really important for not only the artist's thought process to kind of work through that of like, how do I want this to look? How am I going to make this? But be able to both visually and written, verbally explain it to the selection panel what their vision is.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So with that multi-step process and then you guys doing it 8 times already, when did the first call go out? I mean, has it been over a year?
Yeah, that was last winter.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. So
So
you guys
not
have
quite a
been,
year, but
yeah, okay. You guys have been working for a long time, very hard on this.
yes. So I've been on this project for a little over 2 years. So
Okay.
in March was the halfway point. It was 2 years in, 2 more to go until the new terminal opens. So the new terminal opens in March 2023.
Awesome. Okay. And I mean, obviously the pandemic probably presented its own set of problems, but I feel like that's kind of a big question. Did that affect the project in any way? Did you guys have setbacks because of it, or was it easy to manage because the calls were all sort of virtual and
Yeah, in the very beginning. So this is starting, yeah, sort of February of 2 Februarys ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, we really had to pivot. We had our in-person artist information sessions set, we had the locations, and we really overnight had to scrap that and really understand how we're going to pivot to a virtual space and then have virtual artist information sessions. And
Mhm.
now, as we've gone on over the last year and a half, obviously everybody's sort of a master at every online
Yeah.
platform now. So yeah, we wanted to keep it fresh, but keep enough information out there that anybody can reach out to us at any time with questions. We can post those recordings online. They can rewatch them at your own time schedule. I know everything's upside down for artist schedules if they're in their studios late at night or if they're up early in the morning. If they can't watch it live, that's totally fine. So I think that's actually been to our benefit a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of having a live session, maybe at 5 p.m. on a Wednesday that maybe some people couldn't attend in person, now you can watch it at any time
Mhm.
online. So, I have to look at the positive side of it, that I think we definitely made the best of it and we've made it work.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's been super helpful. I know for the Arts Council as well, just having the opportunity to do live things like this virtually and then have it live on a website or somewhere that people can rewatch it. So information can keep getting out there and keep getting to people.
Mhm.
So that's been super, super helpful, especially through like Zoom and Facebook and that kind of
Mhm.
thing. Um, Let me look at my notes. I've got a couple more questions.
Sure.
Um, so after the June 18th deadline for this call, and you said that the new terminal will be open in, you said March of 23.
Mhm.
What's kind of the timeline between June 18th and March of 2023? Sort of just not super detailed. I know that's a
Oh,
long
sure,
time, but
sure. There's a lot of things that will happen between now and then
yeah.
for sure. But yeah, once the deadline is over, June 18th, again, deadline for all those artists, get your application in.
Yep.
Depending on how many applications we get, that will dictate how long it's going to take us to go through these with our selection panelists. So we've given our panelists through the summer. So right now, we're looking at the end of August to where we'll notify our finalists. So that's giving the panelists 2 months to go through all the applications. So I know the artists are going to be really anxious of wanting to know if they were awarded or not. But yeah, just have patience. Let us get through the summer. So once the end of the summer happens and we let those finalists know, there's the paperwork process.
Mhm.
So one part of this that makes artists a little bit anxious sometimes is the amount of paperwork and sort of admin that goes with public art projects.
Mhm.
And that's something we can't really get rid of, but we can definitely be here to walk you through each step of the process, and we will be. So once all the finalists are awarded, we'll probably have some virtual workshops going through all of the paperwork and what it means to be registered as a vendor and a supplier with the city, making sure you have all your business license numbers, all those things that are ensured that you actually can get a check from the city. So that's what all that's for, is that you can get paid properly. So, and then the contracting part of it will happen. So all of these things will be outlined. It's all in the contract. There's a pay schedule. There's a schedule of performance. So it won't just be, yay, you got it. A year from now, deliver your art piece. And we don't speak in between there. No, we'll have check-ins, potentially monthly, just seeing where artists are, making sure they're on track. Do they need anything? Do they have questions about the process along the way? And what that means for milestones, along with the pay schedule. So that's one of those things, if we're not, not quite meeting those milestones, it's like, well, you haven't met an invoice milestone. So yeah, there's some process and procedural things that we'll definitely follow very closely, since it's a city process. But that being said, from end of this summer to next fall, that's the timing that the artist will have to create their artwork. So a little bit over a year. So that should be fine for what we're looking for, depending on what your discipline is and what your medium is. And if someone gets done quicker or someone needs a little longer, it's like, well, December 22 is the very, very last date we want to be installing artwork inside the terminal. So then we have that buffer of everything is perfect and pristine when we open March 2023. And there's no scramble for installation.
Right. Is there going to be a kickoff event in March, kind of a grand opening?
To be determined. We'll keep you updated.
Sounds good. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think that's all of my questions. Is there anything that I missed, or anything that you want to let artists know that I didn't talk about, or we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I won't get into too much of the nitty gritty about what's included in the RFP. Just to kind of reiterate, read through that RFP. We really outline the things we're looking for as far as what we want you to submit and the parameters in which it needs to fit. So should you ignore one of those or not upload one of those things, or you miss something, that's really, I mean, with the amount of applicants we're going to get, that may disqualify you. And I don't want someone's application, to not get fully looked at because they just simply didn't upload their resume.
Right.
Something like that. So it's always good to have, maybe the buddy system in this too, have another artist or an arts professional just kind of quick look at your application before you hit send. Like, does everything make sense? Does it look like you have everything included? Is it really clear, your vision for the piece that you want to propose? Does it fit the parameters? I don't know if we said this, but the space on the wall is 4 feet by 20 feet by 4 inches deep is kind of the main parameter. But you don't have to make a piece that's exactly that size. You could have something that was 2 pieces or 3 pieces or an asymmetrical wall hanging. Whatever you decide as an artist is acceptable.
Awesome.
So those are kind of, my last tips. Also, don't wait till the last day to apply.
Very smart.
Yes. Sometimes the call for entry server gets overloaded like 5 minutes before midnight when it's due, and it won't allow you to upload. And we really can't extend the deadline, if things are not in by that time. So if you are having trouble, even a couple days early, feel free to reach out. My email is artsbuildkci@gmail.com. Shoot me an email anytime. Also, call for entries help desk is super helpful and accessible. So if you have, just kind of a technical problem, they'll be able to walk you through that pretty easily.
Awesome. Very cool. Let me double check. So we've got a couple comments in the Facebook. So we have, when it comes to paintings, will they need plexiglass? We kind of talked about that with the longevity of the artwork, but it doesn't, they don't all have to be framed behind glass, right?
Not necessarily. So we've had a lot of questions about that. It does say it specifically in the RFP talking about UV resistant plexi. So say you had a piece that was just on canvas. A regular canvas could be prone to getting puncture in it as well. Should someone lean against it, or they have a backpack on and they turn and it hits it and they have a pen in their pocket, whatever it is. So really thinking about what's going to protect the artwork. It may be just a clear coating, or maybe you don't use regular canvas. Maybe it's on a board, a wooden board canvas. Maybe you just change your materials just slightly to add that durability component and that longevity component. And should you have questions about it, feel free to ask or mention that in your letter of interest to the panel as well, that maybe you're still working through a couple of options. That's completely okay as well.
Awesome. Okay. We have a question that says, how does one get an RFP? I'm guessing that means where is it located? Is that on your website?
It is. If you go to buildkci.com/art, it is the very first link. It says call for artists, and you click on that one, and then you'll see all the calls. The only one that's live says concourses A and B. And when you click on that, it goes directly to callforentry.org on the page that you actually apply.
Awesome.
It goes directly there. We're trying to make it super easy.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome and super, super easy. So no missing that. This question is, so there's a $20,000 budget. Is that for each wall, or is it split up? Is the 20,000 split up among the 19 artists?
The 20,000 is for each. So each artist, each wall will be awarded $20,000 for their commission. And that's all inclusive of everything except installation. We will handle the installation of everybody's work. So your work needs to be install ready. So everything on the back that's ready to be installed, or if you have additional components that either need plugged in or whatever it is, everything will need to be ready for an art installer to just essentially put it on the wall.
Okay, awesome. And will there be a dedicated, this might be too nitty gritty, but will there be a dedicated like art drop off time that artists will bring their work? Yeah.
We'll get there.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I don't see any more questions. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, okay, here's a good one. A lot of the information on the website talks about previous public art experience. If an artist doesn't have any or much experience with public art, should they bother applying? And I know this call is different because it's wall art. So what do you say about that?
Yeah, so we've gotten this question for all of the art rounds. And so it is quite different when there's a multi-million-dollar hanging sculptural piece. If you've never done something like that, we're probably not going to choose you for this because of those engineering components. But something like this that is a wall-based piece, we really want to open it up to artists of all disciplines, whether or not you have a gallery practice, an in-studio practice, maybe you're more of a art fair or maker practice, those types of things, as long as your art can fall into the parameters that we've given, that doesn't disqualify you at all. But we definitely want to kind of arm you with the knowledge of what participating in a public art program means. So if you've never done public art before, like I was talking about earlier, there's quite a bit of paperwork and administration that goes into that. So artists are at all different levels of their career. So if they're not in the place in their career where they're ready to, become a full-blown LLC or register their art practice as a business, this may not be the opportunity for you if maybe you're not quite there in your career, and that's okay. You'll get there, or you'll decide this isn't the route you want to go. But there's a lot of artists that want to push into that next level. Public art has a really broad reach nationally, internationally, locally. So if you really want to get into that, it's really eye-opening in the types of different artwork that can be part of public art. It isn't just large-scale exterior sculptures. There's really more to it. So my suggestion would be, don't be afraid. Try it. If you don't get it, also don't get frustrated. It's very much a learning moment of what expectations are, both applying, and then if you do get it or you don't get it, kind of that feedback that goes along with it.
Right. Yeah. And even applying and not getting, you still get that experience of applying for RFPs and or RFQs.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's super helpful. Just the experience of applying is awesome. All right. I don't see any new questions. I don't want to cut anyone off, but I'll just say, if you want to say the email address one more time and the website one more time that people can contact or get more information. Yeah.
Yeah, so all of the information I talked about today can be found on buildkci.com/art. And on there, you'll see a link to the call for artists, which is the RFP. If you are already on callforentry.org, you can just type in KCI and it's the first one that pops up also if you want to search it that way. Either way. If you have any questions, you can email me directly. My email is artsbuildkci@gmail.com. And we also have a Facebook page dedicated to New Terminal. So it's called New Terminal Art Group. You have to be accepted. It's a private group, but we'll allow you in. We just keep it private only because people are sharing information and fabricators are meeting artists and people have phone numbers and things like that. So that's why that's private.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I think that is a great bit of information. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day and for doing this again for us. And
Okay.
I am super excited about the call, and I know a lot of our constituents and a lot of our artists are as well. So again, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so looking forward to seeing the applications. I'll be in the background of those selection panels. I'm a non-voting member, but I participate in all of them. So I'll get to see the proposals. It'll be really exciting. And I'll keep everyone up to date. We'll update the website and update the Facebook page as we're moving along. Should, we get 2 million applications or something and it takes us longer to go through them,
Yeah.
we'll definitely keep all the artists updated. But our goal is by the end of the summer to let the finalists know if they were selected.
Okay. Awesome. Sounds great. Well, thank you again, and I will let you get back to the rest of your day. So
Thank
thank you so much,
you. Any
Holly.
questions, let me know.
All right. Bye.